Speaking of a deal being done, like done, Huawei has pulled out of its oldest sports sponsorship relationship with a really famous Australian rugby league team. I didn't know about them. I don't watch all that much rugby, but I understand rugby's a big deal, Will, in Australia. Have you ever been to Australia?
I have, actually. Sydney.
I've never been. So did you take in any rugby then?
No.
Oh.
I was in Sydney.
Yeah.
And no rugby.
No rugby for you. Any rugby, maybe some rugby jerseys you saw on the people.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, you probably did. This team, Canberra Raiders, probably not saying that right. They had a deal with Huawei for 9 years, and Huawei said, look, we can't do it anymore. We're banned from the networks. We're getting all kinds of problems from the local government. Nobody's into it. And what are we doing plastering the logo on the shirts? People can't, we can't do business here. What's the point in spending all this money? I'm sure that's what the internal conversations were about. Chinese telecom giant Huawei announced on Monday it is ending its oldest major sporting sponsorship deal in the world when it ends its contract with Australian rugby league team Canberra Raiders after 9 years, blaming a, quotations, continued negative business environment. Now, Australia barred Huawei a while ago, actually. This surprised me how long there's been a kind of ongoing issue. In fact, Huawei's decision to sponsor the team back in 2012 came months after the government banned the company on security grounds from involvement in the rollout of Australia's broadband network in 2011. How long has this been going on for? And a lot of people think this is U.S. only, by the way, that the Huawei beef, and I don't blame you, there's been so much press about it, specifically Trump's impression and all the rest of it. But this has been a global thing for a while now, and it's multifaceted. So Australia was already restricting Huawei from its networks back in 2011, at which point Huawei goes ahead and sponsors a really high-profile sports team in order to try to, potentially change the sentiment and turn around the public opinion about whether or not they should be able to sell to those telcos for the expansion of that network. Obviously, here we are almost 10 years later, and it didn't work. Almost 10 years later, and they got to pull out completely. We have a quote here from Jeremy Mitchell, Australia's Chief Corporate Affairs Officer for Huawei. Even after the Turnbull government banned us from 5G, we managed to find the resources to continue the sponsorship, but we just can't financially support it any longer. So I think that makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, I don't need to read into that too much further. This is pretty obvious stuff. You can't do business there, or you have a limited ability to do business there. These sponsorships begin to make a little bit less sense. And I was bringing up the one, because I think Canada just banned Huawei from our networks. Is that true? Did I read that? It's funny. Here we are sitting in Canada, and somehow I missed that story. But it just seems so impending. Oh, must ban. That's August 7th. Maybe click the news heading there on Google. There have been calls to ban. I don't know if it's officially done here in Canada yet, but apparently it's on the table. And we've been having this increasing Huawei sponsorship on the local sports as well, on a hockey night in Canada and stuff like this. So it has been an angle for Huawei to try to build sentiment with the customer base, which which they would believe would or wouldn't have a positive impact on their continued ability to do business. But it turns out the plan may not work after all in a number of places, including, to get it started, places like Australia.